Thanks for tuning in today. We have another great briefing now with Judy Corner with Insala. I hope she'll teach us.
Yes.
Insala. Okay, I said it correctly to begin with. And just to remind everybody, if you're going to be providing feedback, make sure you pop open this little section here and you can provide feedback as we go. Feel free to share your screen. Judy, thanks for joining us today. And we're going to learn all about Insala.
Good. Do you see it?
We sure do.
Yes.
Perfect.
All right, great.
Looks good.
All right. Well, good afternoon to everybody. With a lot of presentations, incredible information, and I'd like to, thank HR Tech Alliance for inviting us and in doing this. I'm Judy Corner. I am the Director of Consulting and Mentoring within an organization called Insala. I've got over 30 years experience in talent development and mentoring and doing this. Mentoring is a subject that I'm really enthusiastic about. I love it. And so spending that 30 years has been a joy in doing that. There's an old saying that says that if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. So that's kind of the way I feel about mentoring. I've worked with organizations throughout the globe, and many of them are Fortune 1000 to Fortune 500. I've worked with corporate, nonprofit, government organizations, and just about every industry you can think of, and speak at panels, conferences, and so on. But most important, we want to tell you about Insala. Insala has been in business since 1996. They have over 25 years in human resource SaaS technology. And then again, I, as the head of the mentoring focus, over 30 years in mentoring and talent development consulting. Corporate offices are in Richmond, Texas, but we also have offices in Texas. I'm in Florida and also in London in doing this. So one of the things that we want you to do is to, when you think about Insala, you're thinking about tech solutions, not just technology, but solutions. And we really focus what we do in several areas. One is around alumni and looking at the alumni organization. That has become very important as you move forward because as people are changing jobs, they're changing roles, they're working remotely, the alumni associations have become very, very important, and organizations want to look back. And they not only want to look at possibly rehiring their alumni, but their alumni become part of their brand and what they do. And there is a big amount of, branding and really networking that goes on. And then there's mentoring, and we're going to talk more about mentoring as we go through today. We also offer solutions around coaching, both from a consulting standpoint and a technology standpoint. And then one of our newest areas is around predictive people analytics, because what that really allows you to do is not only look at today, but let's think about the future, because we all know today goes by too fast. So we want to think about our future. So your predictive people analytics, I can say that, really allows you to look at the future and predict what could happen if you were doing that. The Insala difference is we really try to partner with the organizations we work with to make sure that their programs are a success. We've got a proven consulting process. So again, it's not just about one thing, but it's looking at making sure the consulting part of what really is going to make sure that the implementation is successful. I feel like we listen, we're flexible in our response. And as I mentioned before, we're not just a technology provider, we're a solution provider, because our focus is on bringing results, not only for today, but we want your programs to be in place 3, 5, 7, 10 years from now in doing this. And we have clients that go that long, that have been with us for 10, 15, 20 years. Now, one of the things, again, and I kind of mentioned, that we believe in is looking at a solution, not just an element or a piece of it, but looking at a solution. And when it comes to mentoring, what we do, we've got several pieces that are part of that solution. The very first piece that we go through is something that we call mentoring readiness. And the idea is to make sure that before you roll out your program, that you've thought about all of the elements that need to be in place before you do this. There's, an old saying that says, if you build it, they will come. And that's not always true. We'd like to make sure you've got everything in place. There also is and this is really going to date me, and do a saying that said GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. That's what happens if you don't take the time to really think through what it is you're going to have in your program. We're going to talk about that in more detail in just a moment. In addition to that, we find too many times that when an organization rolls out a mentoring initiative, they think, oh, this is easy, no big deal, we can just do this. Everybody does mentoring, don't they? Well, everybody may do mentoring. That doesn't necessarily make a mentoring program. And so what happens is too many times it's ready, fire, aim, instead of ready, aim, fire in what you're doing. So mentoring readiness is really designed to make sure you've got everything set up in the beginning. Then we're training for mentors, for mentees, managers of those individuals, and program administrators. And you really need to think about the training for your managers, because 30 years ago when we created all of this, we had the training for the mentors and mentees. And then suddenly we began getting all of these questions from manager. The idea being that, well, I'm told I should support the program and support these partnerships, but I'm not real sure what, quote, support looks like. And so that was part of what we created in the training for managers, so that they really understand what's happening with the people that report to them that are part of the mentoring initiative. And then we absolutely have technology to help you manage your mentoring program and the data. To remember about that, though, is that technology is not your mentoring program. Technology helps to manage the data so that it does not become an administration nightmare. And we hear many times, unfortunately, from organizations saying, if we've got the technology, we've got our program. And it's like, no, you don't. But the technology is vital, as I said, to keep your mentoring program becoming a nightmare in doing this. I heard someone the other day say, well, if we've got the technology and we can track all of the information, then we'll know what our measurements are. It's like, no, not necessarily. That gives you data towards your measurements, but it's not your measurements and what you're doing. It's kind of a distinction that's important to keep in mind. And then we have a lot of reinforcement elements. We've got emails that can help you create. We've got webinars, we've got recordings, we do our training, and the training can be done in workshops, webinars, it can be done through recordings. The great thing about the recordings is the fact that if somebody wants to go back and look at something they might have missed or something that's still kind of an issue for them, they can always go back and do that. For example of the recordings is it lets people go through as their own pace. So they could do, as an example, there's like 8 10-minute recordings plus participant materials and things like that accompany it. But somebody can go through break and then do 3 and 4 and 5, or they can do all 8 segments at one time. But again, these are all the things that we create that to us makes the difference in having a piece or having a solution in doing this. We know, as an example, there is a high correlation between high planning and high success, and low planning and low success in what you're doing. And in addition, when it comes to training, we know there is a correlation between high training and high success. You want to make sure that people really understand what their role is. They understand where they go for help. They understand exactly what it is that they're going to get out of the program, exactly what they need to put into the program. Cannot assume that everybody knows how to be a mentor or a mentee. I was in a meeting one day and we were doing some training with mentors, and one of the vice president of human resources came in and he made the comment to the group that were going through mentor training. He says, "You don't know how to be mentors. You do it every day. Oh, somebody asks you a question, you give them some information, that's mentoring." And it's like, no, that's giving advice. But mentoring is a partnership and a relationship in what you're doing. So it really is more. It's like taking a journey with another person to help them develop in what they're doing. Readiness program, as I mentioned to you before, we feel is absolutely vital before you decide to roll out. And some of the benefits of doing that is you're defining your specific organizational objectives that the mentoring program is going to support. Not just the objectives of the mentoring program, but the objectives, the organizational objectives that mentoring program is going to support. There's a big difference there. And that can be a big difference in looking at the next area, which has to do with success metrics. People don't feel like you can measure mentoring. And part of what we talk about is, if you're not going to measure it, why are you taking the time and effort to do it? Because you need to be able to do that. And those organizational objectives will help you to interpret those success metrics. Also, what we do in the Readiness is we go through, and we've got a whole series. After doing this for over 30 years, we know what elements need to be in place to have a successful mentoring initiative and how to measure those elements. And so we actually take you through a gap analysis based on all the things that we know that need to be in place. And then what of those do you have, or to what extent do you have? And we can help you then get from where you are to where you need to be. Possible challenges. Now, your key advantages actually become part of your marketing part. So you want to be able to use these things when you set up your program to be able to market and sell it to the rest of the organization. And we use the term possible challenges because it might never come up. But just in case they do, you want to make sure that you thought through solutions. You don't want to implement your mentoring initiative, get in the middle of it, and then suddenly, oh, we got a problem. Bring it to a halt. And then it's going to be a lot harder to get it started again. So we try and go through those. And that's possible challenges for the mentor, the mentee, and the organization. And then we also want to identify any critical process components. You know, are there any things that are coming up that you want to make sure that you have looked at and could possibly stop the program? What are possible barriers that could keep going forward? Are there any type of things that you've done in the past? Because there's always going to be, oh, we did that before, you know, and it didn't work. So you need to address those. What are some of the things that you did previously? And you want to make sure that, were there elements that didn't work? You want to make sure you address those before you go forward. And then if you're going to take your program to technology, you want to make sure you've got all of these things in place. What we do is your technology needs to be able to look at those organizational objectives. Understand exactly what your success metrics are going to be based on those. so that they can have all the reports in place you need. Any possible, challenges, that you address those. And the key advantages, again, these can be part of your emails, your notifications, all those things to be able to sell your program and be able to take it forward. And then looking also critical components, you want to make sure what you want to be on the lookout for, or you want to be able to track in going forward. I see about mentoring is this is something that we've all been looking at for several years, but this seemed to be the newest one that I had seen come up. And think about mentoring. When you think about onboarding and engagement, one of the best ways to onboard an individual is through mentoring, through helping them get started on the right foot. Then when you think about mentoring, look at those, Generation X that can learn so much from the baby boomers, and the millennials that can learn so much from the Generation X or the baby boomers. And you can also think about reverse mentoring when you look at those baby boomers that can learn a whole lot from the millennials. So again, mentoring is one of those things that everyone can learn from. In addition to that, when you think about that, mentoring is one of the most cost-effective and time-efficient tools you have as an organization to develop your people. And the reason for that is you're using your internal talent. But got to make sure you qualify your mentors and what you do. Can't just let anybody be a mentor. And we actually have role profiles of what it takes to be a good mentor. Seen many times what has happened when someone from HR will go through and they'll just ask the managers and they'll say, who do you think would be a good mentor? They get a list. Normally the manager has given them a list of people that are just good at what they do. And then we go through and we show those managers the job role profile of what it takes to be a good mentor. And that list changes because being good at something doesn't necessarily make you a mentor, because being good at doing something is different than having the skills to be able to impart that knowledge to someone else and doing that. So when you think about mentoring and you think about all the things, you want to concentrate on the two people in the partnership that are involved. So the benefits for the mentees are they are able to develop some kind of a skill or competency or knowledge area in what they're doing. And again, they're not only getting the knowledge, but they're getting how that knowledge is used from an experience standpoint. Because I could have been hired into an organization because I had specific experience, but that experience of using that skill or competency might be different in this organization as it's going forward. Also, it gives the mentee confidence, especially from an onboarding standpoint, and gives them that somebody's looking out for them. And from an engagement standpoint, we know this makes onboarding and new hires feel more confident in what they're doing. Helps the mentee improve their own communication skills because they're learning how to really communicate with their mentor. And you've heard me say also, I use the word partnership, because a mentor is going to learn from a mentee just as the mentee learns from them. But the mentee has to feel like they are communicating with that mentor. Gives the mentee practice in accepting feedback from a consistent source. And it's like a non-judgmental. It's a safe place for the mentee to do. And that's one of the biggest things that we find for mentees is they feel like this is a safe environment. I can talk to this person. There's confidentiality parameters that we have talked about, and I can be open with this person. And therefore the feedback that I'm getting from them is less judgmental and a lot away from someone who, as we talked about previously in the previous session, is not around my performance appraisal in doing this. Teaches the mentee how to maintain a professional relationship and partnership in what they're doing. And one of the best gifts a mentor can give a mentee is sharing their network, because it's able to expand the mentee's network of contacts. And again, think how important that is. Somebody who is onboarding and coming into the organization new. And then especially, again, as I mentioned before, provides a crash course on the current company culture, because I need to know that when I come into an organization, so that I don't, always stub my toe or say the wrong thing at the wrong time to the wrong person in what I'm doing. And the other person that we want to think about in this partnership is the benefits for the mentors as we go forward. About the communication skills of the mentee. For the mentor, they have got to learn better active learning skills. And this is one of the things that we try so hard, and one of the hardest things for a mentor can do is, because they're good. I mean, we've asked them to be a mentor because of their areas of expertise. So they have a tendency sometimes to want to talk first and listen second. So when they go through a mentoring program, it really helps to strengthen their active listening skills, so that they're, you've got 2 ears and 1 mouth, or something like that. Provides a conduit for the mentor to give back. One of the things that we've also found is that mentors have a tendency to be more engaged with the organization because they feel like they've got something to give back. The organization recognizes me, that I've got some expertise that would be valuable to someone else. So again, this makes them feel better about that and more engaged in the organization, and actually being more engaged because the organization cares about me and the individual I'm going to mentor. Knowledge sharing. Is definitely 7 habits of highly effective people is, the best way to learn is to teach. And again, this can be a part of what a mentor does in doing that. There's a sense of own relationship building skills, because part of what a mentor learns is all of the things they can get out of the partnership, as well as what they're giving. And definitely provides an added sense of purpose and responsibility. One of the things that we have learned in working with the organization, especially for individuals who are fairly close to retiring in what they're doing. And it's kind of like, okay, I've done my stuff. I've gone as far up the career ladder as I can, whatever. Might be for exactly what it is they want to do. It's a way to give back in their way. So what we really want to talk about today is co-marketing with all of you. And if you are interested in doing that, we want to tell you a little bit more about the opportunities. Right now, we are scaling up our content in our marketing campaigns. We've already produced many webinars, ebooks, guides, articles, and so on. And you can, read all of those going to insala.com under resources. But we want to do more. Our topics include mentoring, career development, analytics, program planning, and more. And as I said, we want to do more. And we'd like to do more with you as we go forward, whether it's in our podcast, whether it's in our webinars, whatever it is. We've got more content coming. So we're looking for those co-marketing opportunities. And could that be one of you in doing that? So this is how it would work. We would like to have people that are a non-competing HR tech company, that maybe you share a similar but not the same target market. So the point is, what we may do is that you may have a client that you're working with, and it happens all the time. If your client is very happy with you and all the things you've done with them, that what you want to be able to do is they'll say, well, do you know anybody that has marketing? Or that's the next thing we're looking for. So we want to be able to be there for you. Can you think of a hot HR topic that you would like to know more about? And we can target market for that. You might be interested in doing that, or kind of promote a special event or some kind of special resource. So if you'd like to do that, we want to get in touch because we feel like double our reach and provide even more effective help to your target audience and to ours. And if you want to know more about mentoring, we have an upcoming webinar, 7 big mistakes to avoid when launching an employee mentoring program, and how to avoid those and make your program a roaring success. If you want to know more about that, contact me at Insala, Judy Corner at Insala, or contact me through LinkedIn and I'll forward the link, or the link is going to be doing that. So what I'd like to, yes, questions. Oh,
Great.
I want you.
Thank you, Judy. We are exactly out of time, but maybe somebody has a question that
Can you stick another quarter in the machine and get another 5 minutes?
I'm not sure if it works that way. My boss might not be happy about that.
And if you've got any questions we didn't get
Yeah.
to today, really, I just, contact me at jcorner@insala.com and I'll be glad to answer those.
Great. Thank you so much, Judy. I know there was a few times when you cut out and some of us were panicking thinking it was our own tech, but
Yeah.
the consensus is it was you. So
Well, yeah, and Ward had when he and I talked, he'd mentioned that
Yeah.
sometimes when I lowered my voice, so
maybe that was it.
So again, if anybody's got any question, I practiced on that, Ward, I promise you, and using a couple of different possibilities, but
Well,
sorry that happened.
That's okay. I think everybody got as much information as they needed, and if not, they can definitely reach out to you. We really appreciate you taking the time to share. Before we move away from this, anybody have any quick questions? Okay. I'm just not very good at this.
I'd like to say thank you.